In today's show, we look back at Tuesday's action, an update on Jaden McDaniels, Jarrett Allen, Michael Porter Jr., and some bloke called Kyrie Irving dropping 60 points. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com and at Yahoo Sports Australia. And you can find me on Twitter, as always, at redrock_bball, and on Instagram, at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. Check out PrizePicks.com and use the promo code NBA, or go to your app store and download the app today. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. We've got 4 games to talk about. Some pretty interesting news across the NBA as well. So, Warnie?
Let's get it on, Gilly.
All right. Some news. Michael Porter Jr. may be returning. Jamal Murray has been sent with the G League team to warm. I don't think he's coming in the regular season. I said that already on the injury show. But the report was that Porter hasn't gone to the G League with Murray and that his return is closer. And according to Ryan Blackburn, he said it might be as early as next week. Now, people are jumping all over that statement. Next week? He's back next week? Maybe. All right? So next week it's at least 5 days away. So that's 5 days of zeros in your lineup if you pick him up. Next week does not mean return on Monday. It might mean a return on Monday. It doesn't mean that it's happening on Monday if he comes back. In fact, the Nuggets don't play until Tuesday. They have Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday games next week, so 3 games next week. If he misses one of those, it's a 2-game week. Is he going to be at full minutes in that first week back after 4 months off due to back surgery? Absolutely not. So I don't think it's worth a grab to get zeros all week, reduce your streaming slot. Yeah, sure, if you've got an injury reserve and it's open, always the case. Add him, no worries, fine. But is Michael Porter Jr. going to come in, maybe play 1 game next week, maybe play 0, best case plays 3, is he going to be a difference maker for your team? Or using that spot to stream and get 6 games worth out of 1 roster spot? There's a lot of quality games next week. Is that going to be more worthwhile? And the answer is not the Michael Porter Jr. side. So when it comes down to it, it's just about what you think the risk is. Is it going to pay off? I think it isn't. But, we could be wrong. This is not him returning next game. It's not him returning in 2 days. It's minimum 5 days, maybe 9 days, maybe 14 days, maybe longer. I wouldn't bother with it in fantasy playoffs. One I would bother with is the Jedi, OG Anunoby.
But what about scarves?
OG.
Balenciaga
Stop,
ones.
OG. You better stop, OG.
Anunoby, we knew today he was going to get evaluated and he was going to practice with the thought that maybe he plays through the finger injury. So he's been upgraded to doubtful for tomorrow. This means he's not likely to play, but it means his return is pretty close. Yeah, much closer than Michael Porter Jr.'s, for example. So Anunoby, if he is on my waiver wire, I can deal with a 0 tomorrow. There's 12 games on. Someone else will fill that slot. I can even deal with a 0 on Friday. That's the Raptors' next game. And then you would expect, being doubtful today, that Anunoby plays Sunday and then plays Monday and then is ready to go. And it's because it's his finger. There's going to be no minutes restriction. So I'd be adding him if he was available. One bloke that I would do the opposite of add is Jaden McDaniels. Sprained his ankle in the last 40 seconds of yesterday's game. Probably shouldn't have been out there, to be honest. He is going to be reevaluated in 2 weeks. The word is that maybe this is a month-long injury. There is absolutely zero reason to hold. He's not good enough, even if you had an injured reserve slot, he's not good enough to hold that spot. he is not going reevaluated in 2 weeks. Not be back in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, they'll have a look at it and go, how much longer? So this is minimum. There's 4 weeks left in the season. This is minimum 3, I would guess. Just see you later. Now, I don't know about Jared Vanderbilt, whether he's going to play. He's questionable for tomorrow. But this obviously helps him. And you might get some short-term stream out of Torian Prince. They play Wednesday. So if Vanderbilt does play and it's a low-minute day, you can just put him on the bench. And then they play again Saturday. So I would be adding Vanderbilt if he was available. I would consider Prince. But the fact that Vanderbilt might play tomorrow is going to limit Prince, but there's still value in both of those guys. McDaniels, unfortunately, we go drop him. One that confused me today is we've got news about Jarrett Allen, the report coming out saying that Allen has decided not to undergo surgery, and there is hope that he will return before the playoffs for his finger. And multiple people asked, hey, we must rush to go grab Jarrett Allen now. And I just looked at this and went, this isn't good news. I mean, it's sort of good news, but it's not good news. Yes, not having surgery helps. I never thought he was having surgery, because if he was having surgery, he would have already had surgery, is my thought. I thought maybe there was a week to 2 weeks before Jarrett Allen comes back. The fact that they think he's hopeful he might return before the playoffs makes me think he's not playing this week, he's not playing next week, and he's not playing the week after. Maybe you get him back the 3rd of April, 4th of April, best case. That's what this report says to me, which is a shit report. It's not a good report. It's not great news, I don't think. And so people heard this, no surgery, we rushed to pick him up. Again, maybe I am dead wrong on this, but the fact that it is not even certain that he returns for the playoffs does not give me hope that he's going to be back in the next 10 days. So, yes, he is a much better option than Michael Porter Jr. in terms of a player, because you're not rehabbing from a back injury. It's a broken finger, so once he's ready, he's ready. Right? That part of it's fine. It's just that I don't think he's out there in 2 weeks. If you are still, maybe you're back, that's 4 weeks away and you're still not certain you're going to be back in those 4 weeks. That is not a positive update to me. Maybe my expectation was different to everyone's. I thought he'd be back 10 days from now. I thought in 10 days we'd have him back. 20th of March, 24th of March, maybe he'd be back. We'd get him around that time, maybe. But this doesn't tell me that at all. This tells me well into April. 4th, 5th April maybe. Maybe, even then, maybe he's back and rehabbing through the play-in tournament time in that 12th or 13th of April zone. This does not give me the life that it has given some, where people are thinking that he's a must-add player now based on this. He is, because he's Jarrett Allen, like his value's there, but this is, I don't think, and if you disagree with that, drop it in the comments below, tell me. This is not, for me, it could have been worse, but it is not a positive update on Jarrett Allen and his finger. But if you want a positive update on ways that you can use your knowledge, when you go to PrizePicks. Have you heard about PrizePicks? If not, I'm going to tell you about it. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. What you do is you pick 2 to 5 players and you just look at their individual stat projections, whether that's a points or rebounds or assists or steals or blocks, whatever it is, and you just say over or under. Smoosh those 3 to 4, 2 or 5, whatever it is, number of players. I don't know what my numbers are all over the place. Between 2 to 5 players. Smoosh them together in a lineup, and you can win up to 10 times your entry fee. And it doesn't just have to be basketball. You can do other sports in that one entry as well. PrizePicks entries are safe, they're fast, and the withdrawals are so simple to do. So, we've also got another offer for you. Limited time offer. You get $50 for free if a player in your first PrizePicks entry scores a single point. How hard's that? You must use the code NBA though. That's right. It's an exclusive offer available to Locked On fans. Sign up today and use the code NBA. $50 for free if a player in your first PrizePicks entry scores a single point. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. Let's go and look at the top added players over the last 24 hours and the top drop players as well straight after that. Top added player is Drew Eubanks. Now, the update for Portland was that Justice Winslow is questionable to play tomorrow. What his role is, I've got no bloody idea. But it does indirectly impact Eubanks, because if Winslow's playing at the 4, it means Watford's playing few minutes at the 4 and probably cuts into Eubanks' time at the 5. Now, I still think that Eubanks is a good add, and he's the most added player here. Watford up 7% as well. I think he's a strong add too. Markel Fultz up 22%. We'll talk about that later. Wasn't particularly useful today, but with the value of playing on Thursday, yep, makes sense to me. Nick Claxton up 17%. He was all right today. It's pretty good. And that's a great stream for Tuesday. That's about it, though. Najee Marshall up 16. Well, we'll talk about that one later. It was worth a flyer. I'm not sure it's going to work out. Jackson Hayes up 13%. Not really sure why Jackson Hayes was available in that many spots. But yes, he is a 12-team league guy. Alf Stewart up 12%. Yeah, I get it. And especially with the Pistons schedule.
Is that you, Mr. Stewart?
Well, who the hell else do you think it'd be? Get in here, you pair of flaming galahs.
That's a real positive. His production may not be great, but the value's there. Baisley up 9. Yeah, I like it, but we actually play him tomorrow. Maybe. Brandon Clark was a good ad for today. Watford's a good ad. And JaVale McGee, I think a lot of people added him for the back-to-back without realizing that they probably won't use him on the back-to-back. But they will use him today. So that's enough there. So some solid enough ads across that list. In terms of the top drop players, Isaiah Roby down 30%. Yeah, fine. Olivier Sarr's got that job apparently now, and we just can't trust Roby. Beasley down 16%, no problem. Jaden McDaniels down 14%. Yeah, he needs to be dropped everywhere. Austin Reeves down 9%. He was only like a stream option anyway. Johnny Collins down 8%. It's a lot for me. I would still hold Collins. Again, he plays Wednesday, Friday. These are games where you can absorb zeros. So I would hold. I know it doesn't look good because his finger's swollen and people freak out about that shit. I think it'll be okay. John Isaac down 7%. I can't believe there were people still holding on until they got the news today. Jesus Christ. Yeah, that amazes me. Montrezl Harrell down 7%. Yeah, he's a clear drop. Gallinari down 6%. No problem. Goga down 6%. We didn't even play today. And then KJ Martin down 6%. Yeah, no problem. He's just a stream option. And now Tate's back. So he's going to impact what he does. He wasn't that good, even though he played more minutes than Tate in the last game. So no problem with dropping KJ Martin there. Let's go into the games. Let's talk about it. First game. First two were gigantic ass kickings. Memphis beat the Pacers 135-102. A gigantic ass kicking. There was no Ja Morant. Didn't matter. Des Bane, in 23 minutes, had 21 points. He also had 6 assists. He hit 4 threes. He had 2 steals and a block. He was hyper efficient. He was great. He was awesome. There's no doubt about that. Jaren Jackson played 21 minutes. 19 and 8, 2 steals and 3 blocks. Continues to be really good. My man, the wave pool, 28 minutes, 18, 3 and 6, 3 steals and 4 triples. And while you might think that I'm going to lift this desk up while my hands are up in the air, I'm not. Because I know that D'Anthony Melton could be good. I know that D'Anthony Melton can go out there and can put up fantasy stats. But I also know that Ja Morant wasn't here. And Melton will probably play 16 minutes next game, so I'm not getting excited. Stream him today? Sure. Didn't expect this much from him. But I'm not going to get overly hopeful that it's going to mean anything moving forward. Tyus Jones shot poorly, 8 points on 27%, but he added those 10 assists. That's why you streamed him in. I don't think Morant's absence is going to last more than today. Well, Dylan Brooks. Oh, this bloke. He annoys the shit out of me. 10 points in 24 minutes, 25% shooting. At least he took 12 shots, the same amount as Desmond Bane. 2 more guys took shots than him. Well, 2 guys took more shots than Jackson and Melton, which is good, but he can't help himself. 25%, 1 rebound, 67%. I still think you got to add him, especially in points leagues, but this is the problem. You've got to be able to absorb the poor field goal percentage because he just does not know how to not shoot. That's what he does. He's frustrating. He annoys the shit out of me. Memphis fans love him. Hey, they call him the villain, which, yeah, he is the villain if he's antagonizing your own team. I don't know why I said that word antagonizing so weirdly then. He just... I'd be calling him the mole if I was a Memphis fan. Steve Adams had 13 and 13 in 23 minutes on 86%. His rebounds have been a massive, massive strength this season. The Pacers were without Goga, so they went back to their usual-ish starting lineup with Brogdon and Halliburton next to Hield. Halliburton struggled. 4 points on 22%. That's shithouse. He did have 8 assists, so that helps. While Brogdon had 12, 4, and 5. But this game was over so early. O'Shea Brissett was bad. He just is not a good player. He is not a 12 or a 14 or probably even a 16-team league guy. 7 and 4 on 25%, while Duarte played 18 minutes. 5 and 3. Sorry to break it to you guys. Chris Duarte is not very good at this point. I know people really frothed him early in the season. I am just, and maybe this is some of my bias, I'm just way down on him as a player and as a prospect. And when Brogdon's playing, there is no reason that you need to have him in a 12-team format. You just don't. He's just not good enough for that. Dwayne Washington added in 13 points, but you don't need to roster him. While Isaiah Jackson fouled out 9 and 7, but still brought the 2 blocks. keep holding him. Jalen Smith, 15 and 8, rough from the line, but good numbers nonetheless, and should be a 12-team league player. And Budrick had 14, 7 and 2. That's Bud Hield. Well, the Red Rooster, 27 minutes for Terry Taylor, 14 and 8 with 2 blocks. Good game from Tez. Wouldn't bother with him outside of 20s. And if Goga is back, I'm not even sure Terry plays. Like, he's just not going to have that sizable role that he had earlier on when everyone was out, but everyone's not out anymore, and there's 3 to 4 blokes ahead of him in the rotation, so don't get too excited about it. But you can get excited about this bloke. Kyrie Irving led the Brooklyn Nets to a 150-108 win over the Magic. Kyrie played 35 minutes and casually had 60 points. Second 60-point game in consecutive days. 8 threes, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals and a block, 65 from the field, 92 from the line, 87 fantasy points. It's just a monstrous, monstrous performance. Of course, that's it for him for the week. He's done. He's going to miss the next 3 games, so that's sick. What do you do in the playoffs if you don't have IL Plus and you can't stash him there? That's 5 days with no games from that roster spot. Obviously, he is a top 10 player on a per-game basis. He's 6th this season. But can you actually deal with zeros for the rest of the week? Obviously, the good thing is, on a Wednesday and a Friday, although he is scheduled to play tomorrow, or the Nets are playing, is that you deal with zeros on those days. But I'd happily drop someone who's a 50-ranked player or a 60-ranked player. The 6th-ranked guy, the best player in the last 2 weeks, I'd find it pretty hard to drop, knowing that we can get these games occasionally. And I just try and stream my ass off around that roster spot to get value in. It's tough, though. 19, 5, and 7 for Durant, while Bruce Brown had 10, or actually back to Kyrie. If you didn't trade him knowing what his schedule was like months ago, I don't think you can justify dropping him now. Bruce Brown, 10, 5, and 8, 2 steals and a block. Yeah, look, as long as Simmons is out, he's got value. Well, Claxton had 12 and 10 in 24 minutes, and the big avocado played only 18 minutes. Had some foul trouble, Andre Drummond did, had 10 and 6. He is probably a 12-team league guy, but when Aldridge plays, nope. When Simmons is back, no way. I just don't see it for him. Claxton, as I said, 12 and 10. Millsy had 15 points, all from 3, and then nothing else. 15 points, 5 triples, no other stats at all. And not a 12-team league guy, nor is Dragic, who had 20 minutes for 0 points. I know Goran Dragic is going to play these next 3 games without Kyrie. That doesn't mean you need to roster him. You won't use him tomorrow, and then you've got 2 more games. Will you even use him in those games? Is he going to be worthwhile? He's a guy that, even in the last couple of years, in 28 minutes a night, hasn't been a 12-team league player. Well, you won't even use him on Friday either, so you won't use him again this week. Which, again, makes the Kyrie absences frustrating, but not backbreaking. Because he sits on your bench on those days when you have a full roster anyway, most likely. So it's not backbreaking to have him there. For the Magic, it's pretty rough. But on the good side of things, Flaming Mo Wagner. Wagner, 22 minutes, 17 and 11. He has been unbelievably efficient with high usage this year. At times, outplaying guys like Mo Bamba. And on Thursday, only one other team plays. So why not? If Wagner's available, why not? I think there is something there. Cole Anthony had 19, 4 and 7, while Wendell had 18, 7 and 4. Good numbers there. While Franz Wagner broke out of a bit of a slump, 16 points, still only had 1 rebound and shot 39%. This was the dud that was coming for Fultz. 20 minutes, 5 points on 14%. He'd been shooting a number which was way too high. He still brought a steal and had 2 blocks and had 3 assists. And that 15 assists per 100 possessions, which I talked about on a show the other day, it was not going to have a chance of continuing, and it didn't. But the reason we have Fultz this week is for the schedule. After that, we move on. Same with Chuma Okeke, who, not really doing much, but played 30 minutes, 9 points, 3 threes, and a block. But we still hold because of the schedule. And Bumba played just 17 minutes due to foul trouble, and again, we hold because of the schedule. I don't even know if it's worth holding Roderick Hampton, though. It probably is, but 31 minutes, 6 points. He just is not good. He's just not a good player at this stage. Suggs, I would expect to miss another game. I think you can drop him okay. But again, you don't need to make that decision tomorrow because it's Wednesday and you're going to have a full roster most likely. So you can wait to see if there's an update. Because if Suggs plays on Thursday, then there is some value in that. So maybe just hold off. While Terry Ross had 2 points in 10 minutes and Gary Harris was a DMP CD as they continue just to alternate Ross and Harris in and out of the lineup to preserve their, old asses for whatever they need to preserve them for as we move forward. But I'm going to tell you about one of my favorite things in the world. It's Built Bar. I don't know what I like more, eating Built Bars or telling you about Built Bar. Built Bar is the best tasting protein bar ever. Have you had it? If not, why not? Candy bar. You know what a candy bar is. I hope you do. They taste great, but they're bad for you. They're full of sugar, full of fat, and low in protein. A Built Bar is high in protein. It's low in carbs. It's low in calories, and it's low in fat, and they taste delicious. Plus, they got those puffs as well now. Protein-infused marshmallowy goodness. So, head to Built.com, look at all the flavors available, and use our code LOCKED15, and you will save 15% off your order. Built Bar is built different. All right, let's go to the next game. The Detroit Pistons, they kept it close against the Heat, but ended up losing 98-105. There was no Cade Cunningham, but Isaiah Livers went off. And I feel like he has got the spot in the rotation over Kelly Olynyk. 32 minutes, 16 and 6 with 4 triples on almost perfect shooting, 6 of 7. He won't play this much most nights. They just had no guards available. No Cade, no Diallo, no Jackson, no Saban Lee. And then we had Magruder hurt his hamstring, Corey Joseph get in foul trouble, and Killian Hayes get in foul trouble. So there were extra minutes where they played extra big. But he played 32 and Olynyk played 13. If you're streaming for Thursday, Livers might be the go. Hayes, in his first game back, played way more than I expected. 30 minutes, 9 points, 8 assists. Do I trust Dwayne Casey? Of course we don't. We don't at all. But value in streaming. Alf Stewart played 22 minutes in his first game back, had some foul trouble, had 8 rebounds and 2 blocks, missed all 5 of his shots. He will obviously be better than that. He's just a fringe 12-team league guy, but we love the stream for the 2 more games this week. While Jeremy Grant had 22, and Bagley still played 30 off the bench. And again, this is partly because of how big they had to play. 13 and 6 with 2 blocks. Hold Bagley because of the schedule. After that, we move on. Bay continues to really struggle. 13 points on 33%. He hit a 3 very late and had 6 assists, which has been an improving part of his game, while Scooter Magruder played 20 minutes and started, of course, because why wouldn't you want to start Corey Joseph and Rodney Magruder as your backcourt? But to be fair, they didn't have many other options. Oh, they could have, played Saban Lee, but they decided in their wisdom to send him to the G League, so that makes lots of sense, of course. For the Heat.
Because he's my butler.
General Soreness had to leave the game after 18 minutes of action. Sprained his ankle, Jimmy Butler did. He's got one more game this week. Does he even play in that game? I've got no idea. This bloke, I can't wait for... The Heat are going to love paying him $53 million when he's 36 years of age. It's going to be so good. He's going to have the best contract in the NBA. It's already a disgustingly bad contract, and it's going to keep getting worse and worse. And to make matters worse, he shot 22% in the minutes he was out there. Butler started out the season strong, but just so many maladies have befallen him this year. Now, with him out, Max Strus went crazy in the fourth quarter, 16 points in 16 minutes. Gabe Vincent started the second half, went scoreless. Starting Vincent doesn't make much sense to me. He's a point guard, and next to Lowry, it doesn't make much sense. Strus in there is an option, or Caleb Martin's the other one, although he is out. If you wanted to stream in Strus for their one more game this week, remember, it's just one more game though, so not a must-add. Strus could be the guy. Hero, another great scoring night on big usage, 29, 5, and 4, and Adebayo had 16 and 8 with 4 fouls, which limited him somewhat. Lowry still can't score, missed all 3 of his shots, had 6 points, all from the line, but some really rough stuff from Kyle. He's outside the top 200 over the last 2 weeks, and he's really struggling. You still got to hold him, but there's only one more game. And is it worth... I say you've got to hold him, but maybe you don't, because they play Friday when there are 12 games on. So, I could get players in that roster spot to play Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. Versus Kyle Lowry putting up 2 shots on a Friday. Would I even start him? If you wouldn't start Kyle Lowry on Friday, you have to consider dropping him. Yeah, Hero and Adebayo you have ahead of him, and that's why adding Strus or Robinson or Vincent or any of these guys, it doesn't really make any sense. Just, again, no offense to the bloke, but if you're holding Victor Oladipo... Get that garbage out of here! Is this it? Is this what you want? 2 points in 16 minutes? I'm not saying this is what you're going to get from Michael Porter, but it's what you're going to get from Michael Porter. Like, fantasy basketball people, sports people in general, they love a name. I remember when Victor Oladipo in 2017 took me to a title. Yeah, that's cool, but it doesn't mean jack shit on March 15th, 2022, when he's playing 17 minutes and still, not doing anything. It doesn't matter that he used to be good 5 years ago. It doesn't matter that Michael Porter Jr. had a good stretch last year. That was before he had a back injury and hasn't returned yet. It doesn't matter that Brook Lopez was a top 70 guy 2 years ago. He's had his back fused together or other bullshit he had done. Like, it doesn't actually matter. But we remember the names. Oh, guys, Tariq Evans coming back. Is he worth an ad? Like, a fucking course not. And I'm getting fired up, and part of it's just because I have fun doing it. But you don't need to have Victor Oladipo on a roster. You just don't need to. I think it's a gigantic waste. Hey, if you disagree with me, A, don't really give a fuck. B, drop in the comments. Let me know. We all have opinions on stuff, and I'm going to be wrong on plenty of stuff. All the time. But this is something I'm going to be always passionate about, is blokes coming back from year-long, 6-month-long absences on things at a lower body who have struggled anyway before that. I'm just not taking the risk on them. And I think most of the time, it'll work out in my favor. Most of the time. Sorry, I don't know why I got so fired up then. So let's do the last game of the night. The Suns win this one pretty comfortably, 131-115 over the Pelicans in New Orleans. Devin Booker only played 30 minutes and had 27, 5, and 8 with 2 steals. Awesome. While Cam Payne, I don't think he scored in the first quarter, but ended up with 14, 3, and 8 with 3 steals on 83%. If he's not rostered in your league, I don't know what you're doing, but he needs to be rostered. Bridges had 20 points, stealing a block, and 8 and only played 23 and had 18 and 5. And McGee, 19 and 6 in 21. Great stream for today, but if you've got him, not sure you're going to use him tomorrow, so maybe look for guys on Thursday if he's on your roster. Not a great night from Jay Crowder, but he still had 4 assists and 3 threes. Didn't do huge amounts, but this team didn't need to do huge amounts. In fact, they played Torrey Craig 28 minutes and Aaron Holiday 22, who had 2, 6, and 3. Just a comfortable victory with the big names firing up and doing exactly what they needed to do. And by big names I mean campaign, of course. On to the Pelicans. We got the return of CJ McCollum. He was pretty efficient, 21, 5, and 9, apart from missing both of his free throws, which has been a problem for him this year. Herb Jones also went off, 22 and 5, 3 steals and 3 threes. Obviously, is a 12-team category league guy. Points, this is good. I'm not sure he's that guy, though. While Valanciunas had 17 and 12. They did move Najee Marshall to the bench, so you can go ahead and jack him.
Get that garbage out of here!
And they started Graham next to McCollum. Now, Devontae played 28 minutes, had 10, 5, and 7. And of course, he pissed on your field goal percentage. He'll always do it. He's always going to do this. But until Ingram comes back, he's at least worth holding on to for volume. He may start, he may not. He's going to get cooked eventually, but while Ingram is out, you can hold. I liked a little bit what I saw from Trey Murphy again, 11 points with 3 threes. While Jackson Hayes had 16 and 4 in his 31 minutes and remains a 12-team league guy while Ingram is out. That may change when Ingram is back, but it's working all right at the moment for him. Jose Alvarado, yep, the 7 assists are nice to stream in, but as a 12-team league guy, bye-bye. He peaked last game when he had 10 assists and 6 steals, but with McCollum back, that put the end to his value, same as it did with Najee Marshall. Let's look at the lines of the night now. Well, no prizes for guessing who the monstrous was. That's Kyrie. Your waiver wire is DeAnthony Melton. Your young gun is Des Bane. And your dud of the night is Chris Duarte. Top 10 players today. 9 category leagues. Number 1, of course, is Kyrie Irving. Then Devin Booker, Desmond Bane, Cameron Payne. Herb Jones, Valanciunas, Jaren Jackson, DeAnthony Melton, Wendell Carter Jr., and Tyler Hero. Top 10 of blokes rostered under 50%. Melton, great today. Sure. Don't think it's going to happen with Morant back. I wouldn't buy it. Isaiah Livers? Interesting. Stream for Thursday. Absolutely a stream for Thursday. The Red Rooster, Terry Taylor, not buying on it. McGee, yeah, but no. John Conchar, no. Kessler Edwards, not really. Mo Wagner, yes. Good stream for Thursday. Killian Hayes, yes. Good stream for Thursday. Strus would be a maybe, but it's one game. It's Friday. Is it worth it? The answer is no. Unless we hear that Butler's out for the year, which I don't think we will, but unless we hear that, then I wouldn't bite on Strus, and same with Dwayne Washington. Don't really care for that one. In terms of points leagues, top 10 players today, Kyrie, then Booker, Jaren Jackson, Desmond Bane, Tyler Hero, Jonas Valanciunas, D'Anthony Melton, CJ McCollum, Kevin Durant, and the Shark, Bruce Brown. And that, guys, will do it for me today. Don't forget to follow this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and on the Odyssey app. If you are here on YouTube, why don't you thumb it up and leave your comments down below? Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.